Tabletop Stimulator. With your hosts,
Dan
and
Jim,
and me, Herr Sean Spieler.
welcome to episode 48.
Dan has been resurrected.
Episode
Dan's
8.
Finally rolled a 6.
Let's talk about Pariah Nexus.
We should edit Dan into it to make it sound like he was
That's
there.
what I'm going to look like.
Just so you know, though, he wasn't there.
No, Dan
this is
wasn't
all.
there
This is
for
all a lie.
Wasn't there?
The cake is a lie.
It's all magic.
As a quick summary, the episode is you're following a battle sister, and she's lamenting that they lost the battle. They lost the
She's
war
the last
on
of
the planet. Yeah, last of her order, martyred sister. There's lots of ultramarine bodies around, as well as guard and
Just completely
battle sisters.
unrealistic.
Yeah. And
Well, the bit I found odd actually is there's Necron bodies as well, and I thought they kind of get recycled.
yeah, I thought they phased out when they, but whatever. And then it kind of jumped. It's kind of the first episode just feels like several vignettes.
So both episodes are broken up into acts or chapters or whatever you want to call them, and they're only like a couple of minutes long each, aren't they?
Yeah.
But the first few,
So it starts with like a Thunderhawk crashing,
yeah,
and then it kind of goes onto the sister doing some things.
she's moaning at, she's praying basically.
Yeah, praying and having a whinge. Really doesn't quite feel like how I would imagine fanatical zealot battle sister. She seems very down. She's been listening to My Chemical Romance, and she's just like,
She's the Raven Guard of sisters. Yeah.
And then cuts to Necrons, Cesaris going.
He's like torturing people or sucking the souls out.
He's experimenting on some people for something. I'm not quite sure what he's doing. And then he gets a death mark. Says the death mark, go kill some people.
Yeah, and the death mark's like, why should I do it?
Yeah.
Can't you get all your other
Just
minions
like that.
to do it?
Sounds like Baldric.
And Cesaris
Wow, sir, is that what you think is a good idea?
but it's just like,
And then
it felt like talking for the sake of talking. It's like, I was just like, well, you're sending a death mark off, and the death mark's like, why are you sending me? And it's like, well, because he's your boss.
Send Kev. Kev's keen.
Well, he's basically saying, why don't you send the destroyer cults to do it?
Yeah, and he's like,
no, they'll just destroy stuff. And it's like, that's exactly what you want, though.
yeah.
So I didn't get that.
Wasn't it? It's just it was that they were they're not focused enough.
He wants a scalpel, not a chainsaw.
Yeah.
But I just still don't really understand why, because there's nothing to protect around them.
Because you can show the cool little him coming in and out of little.
So the Death Mark uses portals to get around. He just steps in and out of them.
I really wish Death Marks could do that in the table.
I was thinking, maybe they do that, and I haven't bothered to check the rules, but it sounds like they don't.
No, they can.
But it's
I mean,
also
they can
one
deep
Death
strike.
Mark instead of a squad.
Yeah.
And it does make me wonder
Elite
whether
Death Mark
they
captain.
should have done a Death Mark character model, or whether you will get one with a Necron book.
That has a special rule. He can lead them, and he can
teleport.
he can every reinforcement step he can move to somewhere else.
And they'll be so they'll do a new Necron model. When the Sisters book drops, they'll do a new model for that, and it will all be about whinging. So in episode 2, it is the story from the Space Marine side of things.
Salamander, yeah.
Yeah. So it's a salamander, and he wakes up in his crashed Thunderhawk. Everyone else is dead, and all of them seem to have died from being impaled. Every single one
I
of them,
noticed that.
apart from a servitor, which is just on the floor.
Yeah, but
So
everyone
else has been impaled by rebar.
unlucky.
All of them, every single one. And he wakes up and he's like, "Oh, I know what I'll do. Instead of securing the crash site, I'll start sorting out the gene seed."
Yeah, because it's on fire.
Oh yeah,
it's on fire.
It's on fire.
But I always thought that they were. I don't play Space Marines, but they always seem quite hardy. And I thought just a rebar going through the stomach of one probably wouldn't kill them.
No, or maybe they're not. Yeah.
Because they can be so obliterated but alive that they get put in dreadnoughts.
I was surprised that it's not like, these guys have, because what happens is when they get really severely injured, they go into like a deep sleep.
Yeah.
And they form like a cocoon around them.
Yeah.
It's not always, but it's one of.
I've seen it referenced.
But they talk about it, when it's like near death, but the body survives by going into this coma state. And I'm surprised that none of them were like that. They're all just dead.
Yeah.
What would have been really cool is if I was writing this, I would have done it that he wakes up and it looks like a load of the squad have just left him. So he's among the dead. There's a few dead, and then the rest of the squad's gone.
Yeah.
And you don't ever have to see the rest of the squad in the whole series, but he could just be trying to find the rest of his squad as well as completing whatever his mission is. But yeah, anyway, so he's in the ship and he's like, I thought it was, I wasn't sure about the way that he kind of goes, his armor tells him what's wrong with him, and he starts telling the armor what drugs to give him.
Yeah.
I thought it just kind of happened.
Automatic, yeah.
Yeah, I thought the armor just dealt with it straight away within like a millisecond, so that he can continue to function. So I found that a bit weird, but maybe it had done a lot of that already, and it was just like, oh, do you want a paracetamol to go?
Yeah, do you want something extra?
You know, do you want something?
Actually, I got a bit of heartburn.
I need a boost. Yeah. Would you like fries with that? Yeah. So anyway, he pops some drugs by telling his suit to do it for him, and then he opens up. He's then strong enough to be able to open a cabinet, and the fire in the ship's getting worse.
Yeah, so the jeans he's lost.
He's like, "I'll bugger it."
Gets melted.
I'm not dragging him out.
No, fuck it.
Well, I could barely open a door of a small box.
How much would their suits protect them from the fire? So you can get the gene seed later.
They'd probably be right. Yeah. It doesn't really explain
There's
why
a lot
the
of
ship
gene
is on
seed
fire.
around. No, so
like,
I'm
assuming that the fuel is kept separate from where they sit. It's not in amongst them. So there's probably a fuel area. So surely that's already gone.
How's it?
So why is it actually on fire?
How's it melting through? It's a conspiracy.
Why is it burning?
Thermite.
Yeah, it's just on fire, and the fire is growing, and the fire is growing in areas of metal. And then he walks on a bit, and he finds one of the armored containers. So if you know 40k terrain, you know what that looks like.
Yeah.
He finds like that, but the door's a little bit buckled, and he rips it open, and it turns out it's a tunnel, which I didn't understand. It's like they've gone from being on a standard Imperial world to like an Orc one, where they make stuff out of whatever's nearby. So anyway, he goes in through this crate, and the crate is then a tunnel which leads to like a crypt or something. And there's a load of normal humans hiding there. There's a priest or a missionary or something.
Yeah, a priest and like a
then
family.
Just some random humans with a couple of kids.
Yeah.
And the kids' voice. We'll talk about the sounds in a bit. The kid, it's just really cringe. Mister, what are you? It's just like that. And then he's like, are you? Because they don't know whether he's. For some reason, what I don't understand with this is they're like, is he coming to kill us? And it's like, well, they know what a space marine is because they've seen ultramarines.
The priest.
There's no indication.
There's
no indication that they know what a Chaos Space Marine is.
No.
And most humans in the galaxy probably would never have seen a normal Space Marine, so they wouldn't know what a Chaos one is. So I don't understand why they do that, because it seems a bit.
Eyes.
Well, he hasn't taken his helmet off at that point.
Oh.
And then he takes his helmet off, and he then starts waffling on about, "Don't be afraid of how I look," and it's based. Because he's got salamanders have like black ashen skin, like
volcanic ash.
Yeah, like dried magma. You know, and he's got red eyes. So the red eyes are like glowing and stuff. And he's like, "Oh, don't be afraid of me. It's just part of becoming a veteran or something."
I say lots of things, then they say, "We don't understand what you're saying."
And they're like, "But are you goody or baddie?"
Yeah.
And he goes,
"I'm a goodie.
Me's a good guy. Me's a come rescue."
It's the funniest character I've ever had. They can make it work.
Yeah, he goes, and his tongue comes out. And,
Then he hears the bolter.
He kneels down and like he's talking to the kids.
Oh yeah.
And it's all very much like so.
I thought he was going to pinch their cheek.
Salamanders are meant to be the chapter that look after innocent and civilians and stuff.
Yeah.
I've never actually read any of the lore that indicates that. And I know that there's like a big hatred for Nick Kime for doing all of that. I don't know. I haven't read it. I could be wrong. But anyway, yeah, basically they got Salamander who's like, I'm going to look after the innocent. So the best way to do that is to take them with you on your quest. Across a barren wasteland.
He does say, nowhere's safe.
Yeah. And they're like, we're going to go with you then.
Yeah, where you can hear bolter fire.
Mm-hmm. So they leave.
Let's follow that.
And the bolter fire is the sister killing all of the zombies from the previous episode.
Yeah, they link them together. Then she wants to kill them.
Well, they're both pointing guns at each other, and she looks like she's about to pull the trigger.
And he tells her what his mission is, to meet somebody that she says is dead. But she can't confirm that he's dead. She just says everyone's dead. So she says everyone's dead, right? In the previous episode, in scenes that she wasn't in, we saw at least 3 guardsmen and a space marine.
So it's very likely that there's a lot of other people who aren't dead.
Yeah, but she's kind of like, oh, everyone's dead. You don't understand me. It's everyone else's fault.
Yeah.
And and then she wants to kill the civilians.
Yeah, because she's blaming the civilians for them losing the planet.
Like, she was a moody cow, right? The sister.
The battle sister, yeah.
I forgot her name now. But
Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Doesn't die.
Generic
Zeller
angry woman.
Oh, she does die.
But what makes me laugh is, right, she says hardened Zeller and everyone's dead and everyone's like all fucked off and it's like, oh my god, it's terrible, blah, blah, blah. And she sees these people and she's like, they should be killed. And then she's like, oh, I don't think you should kill them. And she's like, oh no, you're right. So she goes against all these years of her being this absolute zealot to go, actually no, you're right, we'll keep them alive.
I don't know. I thought they were meant to be protectors.
Where was all the other
civilians.
dead sisters as well?
There was a couple, probably.
Did they just not have the animation budget?
So, after watching the 3rd episode, my opinion basically hasn't changed, although I've got some extra points that I'll add in
extra stuff
if no one else mentions them before then.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, Dan, you watched all 3 episodes.
I did.
We've all watched all 3 episodes.
Yeah.
But what did you think, Dan?
Well, I probably had a different...
You had the cinematic experience.
I did, because I watched all 3 in a row.
Yeah.
And I watched it on my iPad in bed, and it was only 10 minutes into the 3rd episode when I dropped the iPad on my face because I'd fallen asleep. Which then woke me up.
That's still on the intro, though, 10 minutes in, isn't it?
Oh, God, yeah, that intro every time. That's like 2.5 minutes of the episode.
I liked it the first time.
Yeah, I did. I did like it the first time. It's like, do you know on Netflix where it says, do you want to skip the intro? It looked beautiful. The first thing I thought was, wow, that looks really good. And then they started talking, and I was like, right, so this happened in Tunbridge Wells, judging by the voices. And they're all very polite to each other. There's no swearing, which I find odd, because in the middle of a battle, when you're pretty screwed up, you think someone would be a little bit upset and might cuss.
That's because they talk Gothic.
Yeah, but still, they must have Gothic swear words.
Yeah, like twill.
That with fucks right off.
Twonce.
Or something.
They'd have been better off just doing Gaunt's Ghost, the series. Those guys have all got, like, they say, like, Groxhide and, I don't know, other stuff. I can't remember. That's probably not what they say. But they've got their own swear words.
Yeah. Which makes sense, right?
Kind of like if you ever saw the new version of Battlestar Galactica, they say like Freck or something.
Yeah.
Instead of the other one.
Frick they use a lot, don't they?
It was just right. No, I won't. Carry on.
So
I'm not ready.
Watched all 3.
I'm building up for a rant, everyone.
Looked absolutely stunning. The lip sync, I thought it was just because I was using Bluetooth headphones and there was a slight lag. Turns out it wasn't, because I've now gone back briefly and had a quick look without headphones straight out, and it's like not great. And then there was some animation they did of a bunch of the guard running, and it looked really bad. It looked weird. I just thought some of it was a little bit forced and rushed. Like that bit with the 3 people, the 3 soldiers, was absolutely not needed.
And the Ultramarine Sergeant getting shot.
Yeah, not needed either. And like, because he goes and does the whole rewind thing, right? The salamander guy and watches it happen. I'm like, okay, that's added absolutely nothing to the story. We could see the guy's dead. You seeing him how he died and ripping another Necron's head off makes 0 difference to what's happening. Right, the salamander's face looked amazing
Until it started moving.
The armor was terrible. Like the sister's armor was amazing. Like all the detail they put with like the gauges in it, and that looked great. But it didn't seem like the same level. It looked quite generic. That salamander armor.
Do you know what?
That
I
didn't
actually
have the marks on it and the gauges.
Yeah, and also actually the way that the armor sits on them looks like they've looked at how it sits on a cosplayer and tried to make it work the same. It doesn't look like it works how Space Marines move. And their footsteps are too loud.
This is not a test. This is your emergency broadcast system announcing the commencement of the
Gym rant.
Sound. I'm going to tell you what I hated straight away. Straight away, this thing really bugged me straight from the start. What is their obsession with footsteps being louder than voices? It's like, yeah, we get the Space Marines are in heavy armor, and we get that Illuminator Zeros has pointy claws, but it's like, ka-chunk, ka-chunk, and then they start talking, you're like, oh, I need to sound up.
They should have... They could have shown like a puddle with the water vibrating as the Space Marine walks around.
But it's like he's walking on. Like when I walk on a road, I don't make lots of noise. Okay, maybe I'm not wearing metal shoes or whatever, but it just I don't know. But it is so loud. The footsteps are so loud,
But
and it's just unnecessary.
It doesn't.
It's trying to add weight to their bodies and stuff, but it's just comical.
But I would have thought, just a nitpick, if you're going to make it that he's really heavy and he's going to make sound every time he steps anywhere, he's walking on these ruins. You should just see like crunching of all the things that are just breaking under his foot.
It should be the sound of what he's on,
Yeah,
not the sound
just
of
a
his
ka-chonk,
foot.
ka-chonk.
And then when Xeris was in episode 1, it was like ka-ting, 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 as he's walking. And it's not even like there's an evenness to the way he walks. He's walking like one foot goes and then the other three. One foot goes then the other three. One foot goes then the other three. Or however many he's got. It's not like there's no like rhythm.
No.
So it's like, well, he's not walking properly. Has he got a limp? I don't know.
Maybe he was. I'd have to rewatch it, but maybe he was. Which I'm not going to do because I didn't enjoy it enough. But is he like using that? He's got that big cane. He's old. He's got a walking
I thought that
stick.
was a weapon.
Yeah, it's a weapon as well. But maybe he also uses it just to get around.
It's a machine. He can just fix himself.
Well, but then he can't complain about it.
He doesn't complain. He just walks like a weirdo and makes lots
He
of noise.
complains that guy says about killing people and doesn't use scientific words for. It's like it reminds me of like a Mitchell and Webb sketch, and we're like, oh, we hope he meets with an accident, and he's just like, why are you saying kill? We only use euphemisms and innuendo in my laboratory.
Yeah. Yeah.
I hope that we can remove the anomalies. Would you want me to kill him? I didn't say kill. I just hope that over a long enough timeline, the research line flattens.
Yeah.
That they reach their natural conclusion at the end of your bullet. I wanted to see the one light on the death mark, just like roll, like his eye just rolls. He just they're like a robotic sigh.
Yeah.
Oh, I fucking hate dealing with this guy.
Yeah. Like, why do you want me to go kill someone? Yeah.
Yeah, but then
I thought this. Apart from the footsteps, though, the sound of everything else was fine. I was just like, it's so annoying. It's like, yeah, the Space Marine's walking. Do you know how I know that? Because you're showing us him walking. I don't need to hear a crunch, crunch. Well, it's not even a crunch. That's the problem. It's ka-dum, 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 ka-dum.
Yeah.
And it's like, and then he's like trying to be stealthy. And it's like, well, what's the point?
It feels like they overdo it because
In fact, I think the sound of his footsteps was louder than the bangs of the bolt gun.
Because you think that if they really did make that ka-chonk every time they stepped, surely you would just see all these just cracked paving stones everywhere they go. Anytime they go to any Imperial world, you just see the Imperial governor like, oh, I'm gonna fucking re-concrete everything now.
And like, they wouldn't be able to go to any industrial areas because they would literally fall through the floor.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, you can't go on this tour because we haven't got reinforced flooring.
No.
Rant over.
The Cadian dead mum, spoiler alert, was great, looked fine, but it annoyed me that little bit on her chin never really moved away from her face, and it would have when she was moving, so that irritated me a little.
Oh, the chin strap. Whatever.
Yeah, the bit like that came off the throat.
Oh, didn't she have the thing with the dog tags in episode? In Dog Tags was episode 1, where she's
probably, yeah.
She says about her, my mum died, and
Well, yeah.
but they weren't her dog tags; they were clean. And I just thought they probably cleaned them. Like if they had blood on them, they'd be like, oh, before we give them to this
Yeah,
child,
I didn't get
can we
that
just
right. So
wipe
there's
blood off?
multiple ways you could die, right? They don't all involve your dog tags getting covered in blood.
Yeah, that's true.
Maybe her legs got blown off.
She drowned.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
really clean.
Yeah. She drowned in some isopropyl alcohol. And they removed her paint scheme.
Yeah. She choked on a starch bar.
Yeah.
So I was just like, it just felt, if anything, it contributed more to how she just sounded really whiny.
I didn't bother to check who wrote the story.
didn't.
Presumably it's more than one.
Was it
person.
Roundtree?
I don't know. I did see, I mean, it says Warhammer Storyforge, but like...
It had this half-assed attitude to it.
Oh, created by the Storyforge, right? So what did you do? Just a bunch of you put some suggestions in a bowl. You picked one out and went, yeah, we'll do that one next. That'll throw. If they could animate some of the stories like that. Like, say they took some of the Horus Heresy books, right? Like the first one or whatever, and we're like, we're going to use this animation studio. We're going to spend 2 years making it. Because, the quality was pretty good overall, right? The look of it. The voice acting is the thing they need to figure out, and some of the story stuff. But if they've got all that lore and all those stories there, then why not?
I think the problem with the voice acting is they're using. I think they're using people who've done a lot of their audiobooks. So they're known voices in the 40k lore or whatever. But actually, that doesn't necessarily. That kind of takes you out of it a bit.
I also found was with the Necrons. I know they got them speaking English, right, in a kind of robot-y voice. What I would prefer to see is digital noise or something along those lines, and then subtitles pop up on the screen for it. Yeah, it's less accessible for people, but you'd effectively they would be communicating that way, because the whole point of them is they don't actually outwardly communicate, right? It's all.
Have you seen the new version of Lost in Space?
Yes.
You know how the robots talk to each other, and it's just like weird mechanical noises,
glitches and blips.
Yeah, that's what they should be doing.
Their machines talking.
And like, you don't actually need to know what they're saying at all. Yeah. You could just have knobby cobblers with the noisy feet talking to the sniper guy, and he just goes noise blurt, and then shows him the images. And then the sniper kind of just nods and goes off, and that would have been quicker, and actually, it would have been more immersive, I think.
Yeah, because
instead of going, "Hi, I'm this guy that goes and sucks souls out of people and turns them into zombies." It's like, all right, mate, you didn't have to put a voice to that.
And also, that seemed a little bit lost as well. That bit,
it was
almost throwaway. It felt like the animation for a launch, and they'd gone, "Oh, this would be a really good 30-second TV ad." To compare it, it was like watching the trailer for Space Marine 2. The video game.
No way, Space Marine 2's loads better. How dare you?
The animation.
Open your mouth so I can spit in it.
The animation's better, and the armour looks better on the Space Marines. So
I watch loads of their animations on that Warhammer TV app, and there's plenty of their Bolt and Hammer episodes which are really good. And they've had, by the time you cut out that intro sequence, it's like 20 minutes an episode. So they've had, an hour. It's just when I finished it, I was just so unsatisfied.
Yeah, it feels like it's the prologue to something.
Anything.
No,
yeah. It felt like why are you telling me this story? Because there's nothing. Like, I get you can have like a day in the life, but it's like you want some sort of consequence of a story that you're being told, and nothing matters in that story.
There's no scale in it.
So the salamanders are there to go and meet someone. You never find out who that is, and they never go and he never gets to them. The people they try and save all die. And the Sister of Battle dies, and it's like, well, what are they? What's the story trying to achieve? He also doesn't
complete the gene removal or retrieval.
No, for some reason he just thinks, I'm not going to drag these bodies out of the ship. I'll just let them.
You got all the zombies, which maybe they did that because it's easier to animate a janky zombie.
I've watched Doctor Who with gas mask zombies.
But did you notice that, like you said, there was a lot of Kree face helmets? Space Marines all covered in helmets. There was a lot of things coming up.
And all the Acadians were just the same model.
Beautiful looking thing, great for a launch promo. Like, if they were saying we're doing a special edition box for Necrons and Sisters, and this, and all that stuff.
I honestly think they should have released it as just short, 2-3 minute long clips as an advent calendar story. Yeah. And you don't need any vocals in it. You just have people going off and doing their missions or whatever they're doing.
So little 2 minutes of people.
And also,
it's
it's called Pariah Nexus.
You don't actually
learn anything about it.
There's nothing about the lore of it at all. No.
And this is what I don't get right. There is so much lore and story, and there's some great books out there. Like if they took the Indomitus story and said, right, we're going to make that as a hour and a half film. You've got 3 books worth of.
The Dark Millennium books.
Yeah, those ones, right?
3.
Tell that story, because people, it was so massive, and there's a lot of 40k players that would be interested in what that looks like. And also, why not own that?
I'll tell you what. The other thing they should be doing, Siege of Terror. Yeah, they've got these massive books.
The first animation they'll do is the church.
The Last Church.
The Last Church.
But people will be like, "Oh my god, they've animated The Last Church." They'd love it because it is a cool story.
Yeah, it's a good story.
It just gets put in a lot of their collections.
Everything. Yeah. So I'm surprised it doesn't come in the rule book.
But I mean, they could do like the how the Emperor came about and was the lightning.
Oh, actually, yeah. There's some really good flashback scenes in Master of Mankind, I think it is, where they're fighting in the webway, and it's lots of the Custodes kind of getting flashbacks and seeing what the Emperor saw in the past. And yeah, it's interesting.
Do you know, like when they take those anthology series and they do 8 separate episodes, but they're actually all interlinked somehow? A bit almost like a sliding doors type thing.
Oh my god, Warhammer Magnolia.
Yeah, right. They could you could go, right, so this is the Eldari, this is the Space Marines, and the or they could do the story for all the Primarchs, right? Because they all interlink and how you get to...
Yeah, well, they're like birth stories, sort of. Yeah, origin stories.
And why they were sent off to the worlds they were sent in, and backfill that. And... then they could just do an episode where it's 30 minutes long and it's just a black screen and it's about one of the redacted Primarchs. Because they lost the fucker. But there's so much good story out there that, like you said, they didn't need to make this because they didn't actually explain anything about the Pariah Nexus or what it's doing or any of that stuff. And it's just like, okay, what was the point in it? When you could have taken some of the other lore you've got there. You know, you could have done a 60-minute episode on how Angron becomes Angron or how Chaos started.
Well, the thing is, they've got so many short stories, they could easily turn those into these sort of things, and they could be 3-4 episodes.
Also, right, they've got access to people like Dan Abnett and people that have written these stories and go, can you consult on this?
Yeah,
because you're writing our lore for us. You're the ones actually putting the words down on paper that people are reading and enjoying.
I think that's actually, though, a control thing, isn't it? So
they control the narrative anyway.
Yeah, but their argument is, well, Dan Abnett writes it, or whoever all the other authors as well, not to forget all the rest of them, but these authors are writing our stories, but we're the ones telling them what to write. That'll be that kind of ego attitude, and so they're like, well, we can make a really cool thing without them. I tell you what, you can't. It's shit.
Yeah.
Tell the backstory of Gulliman coming in and doing his crusades.
Yeah, pretty much, right.
It's not relevant to the current lore, but it's the backstory.
You could do it with all the Primarchs, right? You could have a series called The Primarchs, and I mean, you could do a mockumentary version of them all living together like the Kardashians or something. That'd be hilarious. Imagine that, a Kardashians Primarch. That'd be so funny.
Primarchs of Beverly Hills.
There was someone who did a comic sketch series. And it was all of the Primarchs in like a creche.
Yeah.
Obviously the Emperor was like the dad and Malcador was like the carer or something. But you've got all these little kid Primarchs running around and like hitting each other with pillows and
brilliant.
Weird stuff.
That's a really good one. It's like a WhatsApp group, the Primarchs in a WhatsApp group.
Oh, yeah. Have you seen like the Facebook chat versions of stuff like that? Yeah.
Gilliman left the chat.
Kind of like when they did the World War II thing with like, Russia has invaded with 900 million or whatever. I don't know. No, Russia loses 1.9 million.
Look, this is I think the bit that frustrates me. Right, they've got some real talent and they've stopped these people doing what they were doing on YouTube. And the whole promise of Warhammer Plus is, you've got one place to go for everything, right? And you've got this massive world of lore, and then they do this nonsensical kind of story. It looks great. Use some of the lore you've got. Use the animation talent you've got. Put those two things together, and what you'll create is something that's actually really good.
Maybe the problem is they've actually got people that are too passionate about the hobby. And they're like, oh yeah, this will be great. And it's like, you just need to focus a bit more. So one thing that they didn't do in this series, this Pariah Nexus thing, is what they do in literally like every core rulebook that they ever bring out. They'd give you it's the 41st millennium. There is only war and all that, and they have a little speech. It's like, why isn't that in the bloody intro?
They literally could have done that and explained what the Pariah Nexus is. And
like you said, in the grim darkness of the far future, there is only war.
Like in the 9th trailer where it's the Battle Sister, reciting about praising the Emperor and all that. It's like none of that. You're just straight into this war zone that didn't look... I mean, I just feel like it didn't really look that realistic. It felt like they were just like, how much terrain can we just throw down?
Wasn't a lot of blood.
Not a lot of blood and bodies.
What was interesting about that rubble is that there was still plenty of flat areas for them to walk through.
Oh yeah, they had perfect
they only walked.
It was a really good linear gameplay map for them to go around.
All this ruin around the flat pathway.
And all of those characters, like even the Necrons, they're all, not to be anal, but they're all squad-based models in the game. And they were all individuals.
Yeah.
There's the Scorpec Destroyer.
But same with
the Death Mark.
We can't afford the rest of the squad, mate.
Well, I don't want to bring up the rest of the squad.
That'd be too much.
Revive.
We don't have the animation budget to have 4 more of the same model.
can we bring in 4 death marks, but only attack him one at a time?
Yeah, because we're rendering on Celeron processor. We've literally just got a 1-core Celeron from 15 years ago sat in a room somewhere in Nottingham, just churning out this.
You can hear it like the bits burning as it's making its processing.
So this one-armed
noises,
salamander has gone off
Quick, I
with
need
a
another
knife.
floppy disk.
Now he's only got one arm and a knife, and he's just wandered off to go and didn't pick up a gun.
What makes me laugh is gets shot by the same weapon that absolutely fucks the Ultramarine and everything else, but just takes part of his helmet off and he gets his arm chopped off. But he's fine, wanders off.
I thought it
afterwards.
was the sword. I thought he got hacked up with a sword.
He does get hacked with a sword, but he gets shot in the face.
Salamander.
Yeah, but he gets his helmet shot, doesn't he?
Was it shot?
Yeah, he takes.
Yeah, he has to
gets
take his helmet off because he's blown half.
Big hole
and
in
the
it.
he does a Darth Vader, where it's like half the faceplate has been blown off, and you can see his face, but the face is fine.
Did you look
It's
at
like,
it?
why wouldn't that like rip your face open?
Who's the guy in Guardians of the Galaxy? Is it Dave Bautista?
Oh,
Drax.
Drax, yeah.
There you go. That was the salamander.
Yeah, it was Drax, yeah.
Drax was a better character.
Of course, there's more development and arc, and range.
Oh, I don't know. I think
Fucking Groot's a better character.
I don't think the salamander got metaphors either.
I mean, Groot conveyed more in one Groot than
fought
that
dragons.
sister.
He should have said, "I am Salamander."
And also, he was quite a soft, gentle guy, wasn't he? And you're thinking,
Oh, but that's salamander law.
what this has made me think about, though, is what sort of control have they got over this Henry Cavill project, the Warhammer project? And are they going to do the same thing? Are they going to hamstring this project by saying, no, we're not going to do this? Because obviously Amazon are backing it.
I mean, realistically, what's that? 100 million going to get spent on it, if not more? It's going to be stupid. Like, you look at these big series and it's millions per episode,
I'm
isn't
hoping
it?
that they're taking an existing works and
That's what I
making
want. I want
something
them
out
to
of it.
take something, because they've not said what it is yet, have they?
If they don't, it needs to be similar to something that's already existing instead of trying to tell a whole new story.
Like maybe.
You know?
I think it needs to be he doesn't need to be a space marine. He needs to be
No.
a human so that you can relate to some sort of humanity. The space marines are
If
too
there's
alien.
space marines
Maybe
in
they
it,
do-
they're
maybe
like
they
a
tell-
background thing.
Yeah,
Or maybe
which
they
is why
tell
I think
the story of the fall of Cadia or something.
That's way too big.
there.
Is it?
Yeah, it's huge.
But maybe that's the sort of thing they'll hack up into smaller pieces and create.
I
actual
actually
series.
would really like it if they did some Horus Heresy stuff, because there's some really interesting characters that aren't Space Marines in the Horus Heresy, and that would be interesting.
But I think.
Too much.
But the thing
maybe
you
too
say
much
you
exposition
say it's
with that,
massive,
though.
right?
Yeah.
Look at some of the big stories they have turned into movies, right? It's Lord of the Rings, for example. There's a lot of.
Well, that was only 3 books.
Yeah, but you say only 3 books, right? They're huge, right?
No, Robert Jordan's books are bigger.
And they've cut that down.
But the last 3 books of the Siege of Terror are bigger than.
Exactly, and all the stuff they've cut
Lord
out
of the
of it
Rings.
to do it. Even the Harry Potter books, whilst not complex at the beginning, towards the end they become these big tomes and lots going on. They cut so much out of it.
But you need a story, a series where you can just go into it and then you learn about the universe as it progresses. Not that you have to have a load of information at the beginning. You know what would be hilarious? If they do Ravenor and Henry Cavill's always in that chair in the box, you never see him.
I've not read Ravenor.
It's just his voice.
Because he was the apprentice, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was one of the Inquisitors. And
Yeah, and he
got
gets
hit
like
by,
melted.
Yeah, and he's just like a blob of flesh.
It's like, don't make the cock up that Halo did. Don't have Master Chief take his helmet off. You know?
Oh god, no.
Unless it's going to be Pedro, what's his face underneath it? The Mandalorian guy.
Oh, yeah.
Because
But
everyone
that's-
loves him.
I mean, yeah, I hadn't thought about it that way. Pedro Pascal did a better job of being Master Chief than the actual Halo series.
Yeah, so the Games Workshop thing with Henry Cavill and Amazon, it's movies and TV series.
Oh yeah, I think it's going to be a long term. We're going to ruin this lore by overdoing it. It'll start off really good. A bit like Game of Thrones. They'll get to season 6 and they'll be like, let's just chuck some dragons in.
Eisenhorn is the favourite thing to be made.
Eisenhorn.
That is.
I just think it'll work really well.
It will.
They said that. They said it's.
And also, he looks like Eisenhorn, the young Eisenhorn on the front cover of the first book.
He just needs to learn to do a Judge Dredd face, doesn't he? Where he's got that kind of. Because
After,
Eisenhorn always looks grumpy.
yeah, well, after I think he's about halfway into that first book. That's when he gets his face paralysed.
Oh, I forgot his face was paralysed.
I'm reading some stuff here, and the suggestion that Carl Urban would be a good Eisenhorn.
Just because of the Judge Dredd thing.
Yeah.
But Carl Urban's too busy busy doing The Boys.
Which were proper comics.
Oh, that is on Amazon as well, isn't it?
You've gone off The Boys?
You're only into girls now.
Yeah.
Should probably edit that out.
Keep it.
Yeah, keep it. It's fine.
Yeah.
Hang on. Dan, stop looking at that. Okay. Right. So, Dan, out of 10, 10 being good, what would you rate it on? Okay, let's break it down. Animation.
I would say 8.
Okay. Storytelling.
4.
Sound of footsteps.
Oh, 0.
Cool. What about, okay, the final one. If they did a second series, how close, a 10 would be you desperately want to watch it? What would you go?
If I had a spare hour, like if I was on a train somewhere, I'd watch it, so maybe a 3.
3. Okay. Sean?
But if I had an hour to kill at an airport, then I'd stick my headphones on and watch it, because I'm waiting to get on a plane.
Yeah. Sean, if you could write the second season,
I'd sing the theme tune.
knowing where the story is now, what would you do?
Go to a whole new area, and I would look at tying in some of the Crusade into when they're going into the Pariah Nexus, so that you get some exposition of what the Pariah Nexus is.
That's exactly what's missing. It's the exposition. You don't know what you're watching unless you know what it is.
But also, it's missing being good.
Oh, yeah, there's
It's
that.
also, it's that. It's both,
The
there's
good
two
bit,
things,
yeah. Oh, well, you had to go and ruin it by...
I would
by suggesting it
actually
needed to be
get
good.
ChatGPT to write the storyline for the second one, because it'd probably be better by something that doesn't understand what story is.
I'm wondering, like, I would give it a 3 out of 10, right?
But overall?
Overall, I'd give it a 3 out of 10. But I would potentially put that to a 4 or 4.5.
Whoa, we don't do halves.
4 and a square. If they dropped all the title cards, and they could still just switch from one scene to the other, but
Like
without
normal
the title
TV.
card. Yeah.
That's how normal TV
You
is.
Without the
shouldn't,
title
you
cards.
shouldn't need the title
The
card.
title cards are just too much of a delay that they just interrupt the
Also,
flow of anything happening.
I
They
think
don't tell you anything.
they should have put the Space Marine in first, because they start off with the Thunderhawk crashing. It should have gone straight into the Space Marine, and then the second episode bit should have been all about the Sister of Battle.
Yeah.
But doing it the other way around actually wasn't. I think the Space Marine story was better.
Because then you, at least with the Space Marine, like, you can relate in that you don't know what's going on.
Yeah, he's just landed on a planet and he knows he's got to get
I
somewhere.
mean, maybe that's how they do the second part, right? They flip it and you understand how he got to where he's got. That's the exposition you get for where he's on his way.
Okay. And a question for me: if you could star in it, what character you be? Well, I think that the only choice for me would be to be Bobby G, the man himself.
I would probably be that boulder that you see just to the left at the beginning.
I'd be one of the guardsmen at the beginning that gets shot, and then I don't have to be in the rest of it. What I would like to see, if they did a season 2, and it had to be had to have Necrons in it again,
Follow on, yeah.
when Necrons and Imperium allied against, was it Chaos or Tyranids? And just that seeing a distrust between those two.
That wasn't in the Pariah Nexus, though, was it?
No, but it'd be a better story.
Because I think, from what I know of the Pariah Nexus, it's a area that is like heavily. It's like one of the main Necron dynasties.
Yeah,
that's
and it's
there.
full of like pylons. It's like a dead zone for the war.
It's like and it's like. Obviously, all the Necrons are waking up, and the Imperials want to control it because they want to learn about how.
Not too many.
No. Well, no. But use up too much
Not
RAM.
unless they
wouldn't it?
network two computers together to render it.
But no, I'm talking about the story, not what they do in the episodes. I've lost where I was going now. The Imperium want to study it. So really, they should just work together. But Necrons are just stubborn old assholes with noisy feet.
Maybe they could have fixed a lot of this, because you know how sometimes they do lazy exposition where they've got narration, right? So it screamed out for like a John Hurt style narration at the beginning. Like the first 5 minutes, you've got this Stormhawk flying over, you've got this big vista, you're seeing this death and destruction, and you've got the guy going into the Pariah Nexus. This is what's
Here
happening.
comes the salamander.
Yeah, pretty much, right?
Yeah. And the Necrons are like, burp, yep. Like
Sarkhan is alive!
that.
Don't make me wake up your brothers.
I'm not opening the rest of the box. I'm only letting one of you out.
Eat all of the cake, bog trotter. It was a bit like that. I tell you what they need to do is really camp up the Necrons. That's obviously camp Necrons.
Yeah, I
Don't
think
make me wake up your brother.
Right, so I know we were moving on, but it feels like that the step they missed out of this was the bit where they show the storyboard to people before they animate it. You should have done the storyboarding bit and gone, how does this sound? But it sounds like you've not really bothered to write a story, to be honest with you. You've just thought, oh, a Thunderhawk would be cool.
No,
A
do you know what
Sisters
they've
of
done?
Battle would be cool.
Someone's
This would be
watched
cool.
it. They've taken it to Nebraska. Right, we've done it. We've animated it. It's brilliant. And they've sat there and gone, don't understand what's going on. Sorry, don't worry. We found a way to fix it. We're just going to put these black flashcards in every couple of minutes to.
That don't actually tell you anything.
They're not even every couple of minutes.
One of them.
Some
I
of them
can't
are
remember
like
one of
30
them.
seconds.
I was going to say one of them literally is you see one scene, it flashes up and then flashes to the next one. You're just like, that was really fucking pointless. Thank you very much.
There's 221 reviews on IMDb.
Yeah.
And it has an average of 7.6.
Really?
out of
That
10
high?
for the series.
Why?
I bet it's all about the animation.
55 people gave it 8 and 55 people gave it 10. Only 7 people give it a 1.
That's just people being
221.
generous. Oh, at least they've made an attempt. We'll give them a 6 or a 7. It's
The
like, that's
last
not good enough.
episode is rated
No.
highest as well.
Well, it's
Because
it's the least shit.
Because it was over. Because it finished. It's like
Oh, are you my mummy? I've lost my mummy. Last gun, bang. It's like, oh, that was pointless.
like-
They knew he wasn't a zombie. They were just like a fucking kid. Well, we hadn't said to Dan, I was thinking about the idea, we discussed it last time, about having a regular for the podcast where we watch or do something with some sort of media.
Yeah, I'm happy to do that.
And then that gives us a nice solid 20 minutes to shit on or praise something. And it doesn't have to be Warhammer, because there's lots of, obviously, just fantasy media out there.
Definitely.
We're talking about the Ultramarines film.
Yes,
but,
I've been given a copy of the Ultramarines film, special edition.
You know, there's like the
I've
D&D
seen it.
films.
Oh.
There's loads of things.
I was hoping you hadn't seen it.
I haven't seen it.
Sean,
Have you not?
Sean's going to love it.
Yeah, you will love it.
John Hurt's in it.
Is it?
Yes, that's
Yeah.
why I said it needs a John Hurt.
There's loads of big names. There's
there
loads
is-
of big names in the Ultramarines film.
Yeah.
And that's it.
I'm definitely going to watch that.
Yeah.
Um,
But what do you think about that idea, though, Dan?
I think that's
doing
a fantastic idea.
Because I think it gives us something that then, like...
So some sort of
stability
fantasy
within the podcast.
sci-fi thing.
Something we can tie into
We
tabletop
could
in
review.
some way.
We could review books.
What shall we watch before the next episode, then?
Space Marines film. It's got to be.
All right, we'll do
Fine.
the Ultramarines film.
do the
yeah.
Ultramarines.
Okay, and then and if you
I'm going to watch it again. And
I know.
after you've watched it and we discuss it, no, I'm going to watch it again.
Yeah, no. Well, we could watch it together.
Yeah.
I was thinking we could ask our listeners to advise us on what to watch, but I don't think we will actually. I think that'd be a really bad idea.
Yeah, it's a terrible idea.
Okay, so any
a
other
few
business?
I'm currently downloading Ultramarines, the Warhammer movie.
I've got the DVD.
Yeah, no, but I'm downloading it.
Oh, okay. We're going to watch it twice.
And we watched it together.
That was what we just said, yeah.
Yeah, I remember now.
So you probably missed all the things we're laughing about. So as
I'll just put us laughing in it.
farewell from me.
Although just hand of sausage completely out of context would be fucking hilarious. It's goodbye from me.
And it's a goodbye from me. Dan, you going to sing?
Yeah.
What are you going to sing?
What do you want me to sing?
Bop ma doo bop doo ma doo bop bop ma doo.
Should we do
What would I
Scatman?
do?
Let's do Scatman.
No.
If the Scatman can do it, so can you? With Scatman.
He's pressed.
I know he is. He's
No, I just pressed the marker. I kept it. Okay.
All right.
Bye-bye.